High fantasy, also known as epic fantasy, is a subgenre of fantasy that takes place in entirely fictional worlds with intricate histories, cultures, and often elaborate magic systems. These stories typically involve grand, sweeping narratives where the stakes are monumental, such as the fate of entire kingdoms or the balance between good and evil. Characters often embark on heroic quests, facing immense challenges and moral dilemmas. The world building is a central feature, creating immersive settings that feel alive and distinct. For instance, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings is a quintessential example, set in the richly detailed world of Middle-earth, where a fellowship must destroy a powerful ring to save their world. High fantasy captivates readers by transporting them to vast and imaginative realms filled with wonder, danger, and adventure. Low fantasy refers to stories where magical or fantastical elements are introduced into a world that feels realistic or closely resembles our own, often focusing on how these elements impact everyday life or societal norms. Magic tends to be rare, subtle, or even unwelcome in these narratives, creating a grounded and sometimes darker tone. For instance, George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire blends political intrigue and human drama in a world where magic is present but limited and mysterious, enhancing the story's gritty realism. This genre emphasizes the interaction between the extraordinary and the ordinary, often prioritizing character-driven plots over grandiose battles or quests. Dystopian fantasy combines elements of speculative dystopian settings, often characterized by oppressive societies, broken systems, or apocalyptic conditions, with fantastical elements like magic, mythical creatures, or supernatural forces. These stories explore themes of rebellion, survival, and the impact of power in a world where the fantastical often exacerbates the dystopian struggles. For instance, The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon presents a world where clairvoyants exist in a dystopian society ruled by a totalitarian regime, blending supernatural abilities with the harsh realities of oppression. This genre offers a unique lens to examine societal issues through a blend of gritty realism and fantastical escapism. Magical realism is a genre where fantastical elements are seamlessly integrated into a realistic setting, treated as ordinary occurrences by the characters and woven into the fabric of everyday life. Unlike traditional fantasy, magical realism does not focus on explaining the supernatural, but instead uses it to highlight deeper themes such as culture, identity, or human emotion. For example, Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude masterfully blends magical events, like a character ascending to the heavens during laundry, with the rich, multi-generational story of the Buendia family in a fictional Colombian town. This genre creates a dreamlike atmosphere where the extraordinary and the mundane coexist, offering profound insights into the human experience. Sword and sorcery is a genre focused on action-packed tales of heroic adventurers battling magical threats and facing personal challenges, often in smaller, more intimate settings compared to the grand scale of epic fantasy. These stories prioritize fast-paced, thrilling narratives with an emphasis on individual bravery, cunning, and combat skills, frequently involving mystical artifacts or sinister sorcery. For example, Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian follows the exploits of Conan, a skilled warrior navigating dangerous lands filled with monsters, magic, and treachery, relying on his strength and wit to survive. This genre captivates readers with its blend of gritty, high-stakes adventure and fantastical elements. Urban fantasy is a genre that combines fantastical elements with modern, urban settings, blending the magical and supernatural with the everyday world. These stories often feature magic, mythical creatures, or supernatural beings coexisting with contemporary society, usually hidden from or interwoven with human life. For example, Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files follows Harry Dresden, a wizard and private investigator, as he navigates the magical underworld of modern-day Chicago, solving supernatural crimes while balancing the complexities of his dual life. Urban fantasy thrives on its ability to bring the extraordinary into the familiar, creating dynamic and immersive tales that feel grounded yet otherworldly. Paranormal romance blends elements of romance with supernatural or paranormal themes, focusing on relationships between humans and beings such as vampires, werewolves, witches, or ghosts. These stories typically explore themes of forbidden love, overcoming differences, and the tension between the mundane and the magical. For example, Stephen E. Meyer's Twilight follows the love story between Bella Swan, a human, and Edward Cullen, a vampire, as they navigate the challenges of their relationship while dealing with supernatural dangers. Paranormal romance captivates readers with its mix of heartfelt emotions, suspenseful plots, and the allure of the otherworldly. Dark fantasy blends the magical and supernatural elements of fantasy with the ominous tone and themes of horror, often delving into morally complex characters and shadowy, foreboding worlds. These stories explore the darker aspects of human nature and the supernatural, with protagonists who may face grim challenges, sinister forces, or their own inner demons. For example, Joe Abercrombie's The Blade itself immerses readers in a brutal world filled with flawed characters, violent conflicts, and a pervasive sense of dread, where magic and power often come at great personal cost. Dark fantasy appeals to those who enjoy exploring the intersection of the fantastical and the macabre, where hope and heroism are often overshadowed by darkness. Grimdark fantasy is characterized by its gritty, bleak worlds, morally ambiguous characters, and often brutal, unforgiving narratives where traditional notions of heroism and good versus evil are subverted. These stories emphasize the harsh realities of power, betrayal, and survival, portraying a world where hope is scarce and victory often comes at a significant cost. For example, Mark Lawrence's Prince of Thorns follows Jorg Ankrath, an anti-hero whose ruthless ambition and dark past drive him through a brutal, unforgiving landscape. Grimdark fantasy captivates readers with its raw, unflinching storytelling and complex characters who operate in shades of gray. Fables are stories that weave fantastical elements with moral lessons or universal truths, often featuring anthropomorphic animals, mythical creatures, or archetypal characters to convey timeless messages. These tales are typically short and symbolic, blending magic and allegory to explore themes of morality, wisdom, or human nature. For example, Aesop's The Tortoise and the Hare uses talking animals and a simple narrative to illustrate the value of persistence over arrogance. Fables enchant readers with their blend of whimsy and meaningful life lessons, making them enduring and universally relatable across cultures and ages. Fairy tales are magical stories often set in enchanted worlds, featuring fantastical creatures, spells, and archetypal characters such as princes, princesses, witches, and talking animals. These tales typically revolve around themes of good versus evil, love, bravery, and transformation, often conveying moral lessons through their narrative. For example, Cinderella tells the story of a kind-hearted girl whose life changes through the intervention of a fairy godmother, emphasizing themes of resilience and justice. Fairy tales captivate audiences with their timeless charm, blending wonder, adventure, and the promise of a happily ever after. Superhero fantasy combines fantastical elements with the archetypal superhero narrative, focusing on characters who possess extraordinary powers or abilities and use them to fight against evil or protect society. These stories often explore themes of responsibility, identity, and the balance between personal struggles and heroic duties, set in either real-world or fictionalized urban environments. For example, Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart follows a group of rebels fighting against superpowered beings, known as epics, who have taken control of the world, blending action-packed heroics with a dark, dystopian twist. Superhero fantasy enthralls readers by merging the thrilling dynamics of heroism with imaginative and fantastical worlds. Fantasy of Manners focuses on social intrigue, court politics, and the intricate dynamics of personal relationships within a highly structured, often aristocratic society. These stories typically emphasize wit, dialogue, and character interactions over large-scale battles or epic quests, with magical elements subtly woven into the setting. For example, Ellen Kushner's Swords Point follows duels, scandals, and romantic entanglements in a city ruled by intrigue and power plays, blending a touch of magic with the complexities of social maneuvering. Fantasy of Manners captivates readers with its charm, elegance, and the drama of navigating high-stakes social worlds. Crossworlds fantasy revolves around characters traveling between multiple worlds, exploring the relationships and adventures that arise from crossing these boundaries. These stories often highlight themes of discovery, adaptation, and the blending or clashing of cultures and realities. For example, The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis introduces children who discover a magical wardrobe that leads to the fantastical world of Narnia, where they play pivotal roles in its fate. Crossworlds fantasy enthralls readers with its imaginative settings and the excitement of exploring and navigating multiple interconnected realms. Steampunk fantasy blends elements of industrial-era technology, particularly steam-powered machinery, with fantastical and magical themes, often set in an alternate history or Victorian-inspired world. These stories combine the aesthetics of gears, airships, and clockwork inventions with mythical creatures, alchemy, or supernatural phenomena. For example, Philip Reeve's Mortal Engines transports readers to a world where moving cities powered by steam clash in a post-apocalyptic landscape, mixing mechanical ingenuity with a touch of magic. Steampunk fantasy captivates readers with its unique fusion of historical charm, imaginative technology, and fantastical storytelling. Arthurian fantasy draws inspiration from the legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, reimagining tales of chivalry, magic, and heroism in Camelot and its surrounding realms. These stories often feature iconic characters like Merlin, Guinevere, and Lancelot, and themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the quest for glory or redemption. For example, T.H. White's The Once and Future King retells the classic Arthurian legends, blending humor, tragedy, and enchantment while exploring the moral dilemmas of leadership and power. Arthurian fantasy captivates readers with its timeless blend of mythical adventure, magic, and noble ideals. Sci-fi fantasy blends the advanced technology and speculative ideas of science fiction with the mystical elements and magical worlds of fantasy, creating a unique fusion of genres. These stories often feature interstellar travel and scientific advancements alongside mythical creatures, magic systems, or ancient prophecies. For example, Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern combines a futuristic setting with telepathic dragons and a feudal society, seamlessly blending science fiction and fantasy. This genre captivates readers with its imaginative worlds that challenge the boundaries between the scientific and the magical. Wuxia fantasy centers on martial arts heroes in ancient or fantastical settings, often exploring themes of honor, loyalty, personal growth, and the pursuit of justice. Characters typically possess extraordinary martial arts skills that blur the line between reality and magic, such as the ability to leap great distances or manipulate energy through combat. For example, Jin Yong's The Legend of the Condor Heroes follows the journey of Guo Jing, an unassuming young man who trains in martial arts and becomes entangled in political intrigue and epic battles. Wuxia fantasy captivates readers with its rich cultural roots, intricate storytelling, and action-packed adventures.